Will real estate continue to get bleaker and bleaker from here on? Are you expecting worse news to come in terms of earnings?
See, clearly there is a slowdown. Clearly, the prices are coming off sharply from the highs what they've posted, and the market seem to be factoring that in advance. But I think from our interaction with builders, what it tells us is, that they're going to push ahead with projects and development is going to take place, but they have to come to terms with lower IRRs. So the days of windfall gains are over. But as a sector, I think it will continue to do well. But yes, there's going to be a 6-month period of pain. So yes, if you're looking at a contrarian and being stock selective, and if prices come off in this June quarter, probably I think you'll have some of them as good picks over the next 3 years.
Harendra, what about metals, ferrous and non-ferrous both? Do you think steel, despite all that has happened on the price control front and so on and so forth, is likely to report decent set of numbers compared to the non-ferrous side like Hindalco, the Nalco and so on and so forth?
Absolutely. I think non-ferrous anyway is, I don't think so much in the radar for most investors at this point of time. But yes, Tata Steel, Sisagova, see there will be a marginal improvement, but because the realization shall be capped. But Tata Steel gets impacted on the interest cost front in this quarter. But over the longer term, I think because of rights issues and the fundraising is going to get paid off, and it's getting attractive there. And I think if inflation does come in under control at this point of time, there will be going to be some loosening of strings on the price front, and that's going to help these companies.
Are you going to be happy with the Sensex CPS of about 920, 930 odd for FY09, the full year? Is that your expectation?
See, expectations anywhere around 980. I think if it comes down lower, the markets could correct. A little more factoring in, because on the multiple basis at 980 we are a little comfortable. But if shocks do come in, then the multiple compression will happen faster and will capture the slower EPS growth, and then probably then the Sensex could test lower then.
Harendra, I just want to get some of your macro assumptions in terms of all these earnings, and crude is going to be a big one. We have reports right now coming in that Iran has tested a missile which has a range to go to Israel. It's 2,000 kilometers, so it's disturbing news in terms of geopolitical tensions just when you thought that crude was cooling off. How would you read into this on the crude factor? What kind of assumptions have you made on crude prices building the current pricing and target scenario?
See, crude has been taken around $140, $150, and the worst case we've taken it as $170. And crude is a variable which plays very big on our deficit, and that should worsen things. And clearly nobody has a control over that. If that plays out, beyond 170, I think we will be in for a little more trouble.
Okay, we're getting some reports that two other types of missiles with shorter ranges were also fired. One, of course, with the 2,000 kilometer range, which can cover Israel easily. The Defense Ministry of Iran right now is making statements to TV media across there saying that this is part of Iran's defense program, and we are very pleased with the results. Is this a big concern, Harendra, the geopolitical tension element in crude prices? Because till now we were talking about, of course, macro, demand, supply. We were talking about the speculative element, a lot of froth being built up with the kind of future trading activity. And to some extent, we were talking about the dollar movement. But now you have a completely different context or event which could take things haywire, which could actually disturb the way that this market looks at crude on a purely macro fundamental basis.
Yeah, clearly, I think this adds a little bit more fuel to the whole oil story there. And just about when we thought that, the expectations were cooling off a little bit, we have this news. And this, along with the demand supply mismatch and probably some other thing, could take it up higher. Yes, I think, but, sitting here in India, I think we have no control over that, and I think we can only react. So if it gets worse, it has an impact on the markets.
Harendra, considering all this, whatever is happening, both in the positive, both in uncertainty from abroad, like the Iran missile testing bit, how do you view the markets are likely to pan out? I know it's a difficult call to take, or perhaps a difficult thing to predict. But do you think a lot of the bad news is now factored in? and over the next couple of weeks, we might be setting ourselves up for some sort of a meaningful up move?
See, I think from 12,700, we're already up by around 1,000, points from there. But we have to put in perspective is that the market had priced in the slowdown, and if it's going to be worse, then the markets could come off. And clearly, the signs are that there's going to be a lag and impact to the tightening in the monetary policy, in the slowdown to the GDP, and the numbers are going to be felt in this quarter and the coming quarter. So I don't see a significant up move. Yes, if it cracks below 12,500, we can have a lot of value. They're in pockets of value for people who are willing to wait. And yes, if crude goes upwards, I think there's going to be a lot more, pressure on the markets per se, and domestic politically as well. I feel, if the support, the numbers don't pan out for the government, we could see some amount of volatility there. So we are not clearly out of the woods at this point of time, though valuations are attractive, and we could test some other lower levels if these things don't pan out the way the market is looking at them.
Harendra Kumar, appreciate you joining us this morning and running us through your expectations for the first quarter 09. Now, the market's looking quite steady still, 430 points. So, despite that a little bit of political uncertainty arising from abroad, the market's not exactly selling off as yet. But we'll keep a close eye on that. It could actually turn things around, at least for the crude market. There's a flash at the bottom of your screen which says that period of exclusivity has been extended by 2 weeks. So perhaps for another 2 weeks, you will see just these two parties talking to each other without the third party. That's big news. We'll keep tracking developments on that front. That's it from both of us here on Opening Moves. Thanks for watching.
Profit Fundamentals is up next, and we are waiting for Reliance Communications statement very, very soon.